lovers. Welcome to Books, Lessons, and Business Podcast. Join us as we explore the magical books, the blessings that enrich our lives, and the strategies that fueling thriving business. As always, we have exciting guests for you to enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Books, Blessings, and Business Podcast. I am Dr. Kym, and we have Dr. Monica with us, and we have Dee. Am I saying that right? Do you go by Dee?
Yes, that's just fine.
Okay, awesome. She is going to tell us a little bit about her book, her foundation, all that other good stuff. Monica?
Welcome. Dee Porter is originally from Richmond, California. She's a indie author, nonprofit founder, and a financial education certified instructor. She has a lot of things going on. She also has a nonprofit, L.A.L.A, which means leave a legacy always. Looking forward to her talking more about that. Dee, if you would like to just chime in and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, ladies. Thank you both for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, I'm echoing a little. I don't know if that's just me. I'm gonna turn down then a little bit because I don't know if that's just something I'm hearing on my end.
I did hear a little bit of an echo, but not now.
Okay, so I guess I'll start where I started first, which was listening. I've always been an avid reader, and because of life's challenges, sometimes it's not always conducive to have a book in front of you at work, right? Because you don't have enough to do. So you open up a good novel and read while you sit there, and then somebody come in, oh, okay, wait, let me finish this sentence, let me finish this chapter. So I started listening to a lot of audio, and I became an empty nester, and the audio became very convenient as I would drive to and from, or as I'm cleaning and stuff like that. And one day, or a couple days, I listened to this audiobook and I was terribly disappointed. I thought, Lord, I could do better than this if I just made up something. And so that's kind of where it originated from. And it didn't settle in my spirit, right? Because it kept bothering me and bothering me and bothering me, and so when that happens for me, that means I need to act. That means I need to do something about it. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't know where to get started. I don't, I didn't even do any research about how to get started. I didn't think to look on any Facebook pages about any of that, how to get started. I just kind of dove in and started writing, and it took me at least 3 years to complete my first novel, Sagacious Scandals. And it's about, and I thought, what else can I write about except myself? And so it's mostly fiction, but some of it is also nonfiction. So, right, I've tweaked it a lot. But it is tailored around a single parent, a single African American woman struggling, trying to make ends meet for her children, trying to live a God-fearing life, yet some of those choices, are I need money right now, God, let me pray about this now and will you forgive me later type of decisions, and trying to find some romance or not find romance. Do I do this? Do I not do this? So a lot of it are some of the things that we women have faced or lived through just because we are women and Black women in society and single parents. And so that's kind of how the book got started. And the nonprofit derived because by profession, I'm a payroll accountant. So I'm a certified payroll professional. I've been in the financial industry for a little over 2 decades now. So accounting and benefits and accounts payables and receivables and payroll, right? I did the whole spectrum. I
Right.
landed in payroll because it makes sense to me that for me payroll was easier. And someone told me once when I was training, you have to be a special animal to love payroll
Mm,
because
Mm-hmm.
everybody really shies away from it, where some people either you get it or you don't get it. Either if
Right.
the taxes make sense and they add up, 2 plus 2 is 4, right? It's not 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense to me. And I was doing, and when I was learning AP and doing AP, I was like, all these bills was depressing. I was like, how, even though I was doing the bills for the company and not for myself, I was like, Lord, all these bills, your biweekly check run for AP would be, $1 million. And I was like, that was depressing for me, so I landed in payroll. But when the pandemic hit, the organization I worked for, which was also nonprofit, we had to close several stores across the area. We had to close all the retail stores in the area, basically.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it left us a skeleton crew of probably 20 people out of I don't know, close to 1,000. Close to a thousand.
Wow.
We were down to 20 people because we had to close the store, shut down everything. And because I was the payroll manager there, I was over inundated for weeks about what is this on my check stub? Well, where is my taxes? Well, what does this mean on my check? What is FICA? What is this MICA? And I became heartbroken that the everyday people that I work with, whether they were older than me or younger than me or the same look like me, they didn't know what their check stubs were doing. They had no clue what
Wow.
those codes meant on their check stub. They had no clue that the Social Security or the Medicare didn't mean they had health insurance. And
Mm.
so that broke my heart. And I mean, these phone calls went on for weeks because we had to pay out everybody, like all of their PTO. And so I prayed about it, and I said, what can I do to help? I know it doesn't fall on me, but because I have the knowledge and people didn't have the knowledge, I felt compelled to share what
Mm.
I knew. And because, everything was shut down, and we had a lot of idle time on our hands,
Right.
right?
Right.
And I'm not an idle person. So I began to do research and found the National Educational Foundation Council, where you can earn a certificate assisting individuals in learning about their finances. So whether that be
Oh, nice.
budgeting, yeah, making a budget, learning how to save for a home, learning how to read their credit score, learning just the basics about their check stub, which is unique about our organization because we
Mm-hmm.
teach that, where other organizations, financial organizations, might teach budgeting or savings or how to shop for a home or how to read your credit score. Ours can encompass that as well, but I always implement how to read your check stub because
Mm-hmm.
that was the foundation of how we got started with Leave a Legacy Always nonprofit. And so I always incorporate that, how to read your W-2, how do you understand what you're filling out with your W-4, and then
Right.
when the administration changed, that's the administration now, but the administration changed the first time, that W-4 form changed and people had no clue what they were doing. And
No.
and so they didn't have taxes come out and they owed. And so that's kind of a little bit about about me and how I got started with my publishing and the nonprofit.
So the
oh, go ahead.
so Dee, that I think that's one of the pieces that a lot of people overlook, explaining to someone their pay stub, because nowadays it just automatically stays in whatever portal.
Yes.
It'll email you and tell you you got paid, but you don't have it in your hand like we used
Right.
to have it.
Right.
So long as that amount is not off in your bank, you're never going to pay it any attention. And then when you have to, you're like, I don't know what that S, whatever, IU, what does that mean?
Right.
Or do I really have to pay this Medicare thing? I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, but, and then the other stuff, I know my nephews, they had something on their pay stub that said some type of insurance. I'm like, do y'all know what that means? They were like,
Right.
no. I said, well, they taking $89 out for this insurance. You need to figure out what it is. If not,
Yes.
you need to tell them, no, you don't want that taken out, that you're covered. Like, what do you need insurance for? So being auntie I am with HR, I wrote a letter. I said, you need to explain this, or where it's in your handbook that you're going to deduct this from their pay.
Yes.
There was
Yes.
nothing in the handbook. They never explained it. And then, I got a letter saying, oh, this covers them just in case someone passes away, because they work with seniors. I was like, okay, well,
Okay.
you need to put that in your handbook. But I think that's really great what you're doing, because a lot of people overlook, and that simple task of understanding your pay stub can go a long way. Long way.
Yes. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And
Mhm.
$89, that's a nice piece of change.
Yes. Yes. Now, I didn't say 89 cents. I'm going to recognize $89.
Right, right. Well, I need to know where my 89 cents is going
Right.
to, because that's a
But
dollar.
I'm just saying, 80, you said that's a dollar. But I'm saying $89. I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
overlook that. But
Yeah.
as I was listening to you, I was hearing help, in assisting, people to understand their money, their taxes, their benefits, their finances, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
like Dr. Kim said, most people, we just look at the dollar amount of our check, right? And when that's look funny, that's when we want to talk about.
Right.
That's when we want to go to HR, or that's when we want to talk to the manager or whoever. If the dollar amount look funny. But all of this is coming out. That is coming. It's like 10 things, and you don't half know what none of it is. Social
Right.
Security twice, like Social Security A and Social Security B. What is A and B? I'm just like, what you taking out money for the ambulance? Why? I don't even why am I paying for the ambulance people? Like, you don't even but
Yes.
we don't know that. And then when you go ask sometimes the HR don't know either.
Thank you. Thank
Hello.
you. Thank
Sometimes they're
you.
like, you know what?
Can
What?
you say that
I
again?
don't know.
Because there was somebody that
Sometimes
didn't hear you.
HR do not know either. They cannot answer
Yes.
your questions. They got to get back
Yes.
to you because they got to find out what that means.
And guess who they will ask? They're probably going to ask payroll, because they push it, because payroll, we touch it, payroll touches it. We're the last person to touch it before it goes out the door, before it hits the bank. And so HR's often, their perspective is, if it has something to do with money or taxes, that's payroll. If it's benefits or leave or a COBRA, okay, I'll talk to you. But if it has anything to do with money, your money, that's payroll. When technically it's not necessarily payroll, because it doesn't start with us, it ends with
It ends,
payroll.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yeah. And
yeah.
I know it from a personal experience more than one time going to HR with questions about certain things and was told, yes, you have to contact payroll,
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
sometimes payroll would say, well, HR could have answered that question,
They
or
could
HR
have.
could have helped you. I
Yes,
can do X, Y, and Z. I can help, but sometimes send you back to
yes, yeah,
HR, because like you
yeah. And
said, that's the starting point.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I touch on some of that in my novels as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I am that person, because I am trying to educate also through the novels, even though it's fun and entertaining, that's also a moment to try to educate and assist. So I
Right.
also touch on that through Junie Carpenter, because she is still doing payroll, because she is
Mm-hmm.
still doing, that is her job also in the novels. And so I do take some time through those novels to have some of these learning lessons
Mm-hmm.
in a in an entertaining adult way, that
Right.
can maybe grab some attention, like Pink Collar Crimes. You know,
Mm.
one of the TV shows I love are those old. It's an old show now, but it's those money crimes where people have did
Mhm.
crimes for money, and I love that show because I think it's called American Greed. I think that's the
Greed,
name of
yeah.
it. American Greed. And I
Mhm.
love American Greed because it's always somebody swindling somebody out of something
Mhm.
financial. And
Mhm.
through that
Mhm.
show is where I learned about a pink collar crime. And I was like, wow, I never heard of that before. And I like Googled it and everything. And sure enough, it's a pink collar crime is where
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
European American women create or do crimes like bank robbery or well, where they're doing, you know, fiduciary crimes, but it's considered a pink collar crime because they're a soccer mom or they're a stay at home mom, so they won't get the same type of time that
Okay.
a sister will get, just like white collar workers and blue collar workers, right? Became familiar with that term, I think, back in the 70s and 80s, because, you
Mhm.
know, the white collar worker are those gentlemen that go in with their suitcases and the blue collar workers go into the factory. Well, yeah,
Mhm.
now they have pink collar crimes for, you know,
Wow.
European Americans that actually create fiduciary crimes but don't get the same amount of time that someone like us looks like will get, because she's a soccer mom and she's a pillar in the community and she volunteers and she, you know, goes to the library with her children. Well, we do all that too.
You
Yeah.
know,
We
you
do
know
all
that
that
kind of
too.
that kind of reminded me as you was talking about, if you all could remember the admission, like the college admission scandal
Yeah,
that took place.
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
You're right. I mean, they first of all, they
yes,
walk in for it
yes,
like they don't even understand why they're there. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Somebody paid
with
for them.
their
They got a
big time
degree.
lawyers, 2 and 3 lawyers, you know, and they just like, I'm just confused as to what's going on here. And,
Hmm.
you know, and not just that, like you say, 18 months,
Yeah,
but
right.
somebody, like you said, you and I, 18 years.
Yes,
You
Mhm.
yes,
know, because like you said,
yes.
well, they are this and they are that, and they are community this, and they bake cookies for this, and they
Right,
show up for this, and they are
right,
involved in this, and all of that is brought to the table. But when we do the same thing, they don't talk about the fact that we bake chocolate chip cookies too.
right, right,
And
right.
we are
We
part of the
take,
community too. And we
yeah,
show
we
up at PTO, A, B, C, D, E, F, G meetings too.
right,
Right?
right. Yes, we do.
But they
Yes,
don't
we
talk
do.
about that, right? But so
Right.
you are, so that's what I was thinking about when you said that, like that came to my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
perfect another perfect
yeah.
example. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And so I
So
bring up some of that
mhm.
education as well in my
Mhm.
novels because we are not aware that those things are
No.
happening either, you know. And so that
Mm-mm.
was a way for me to be a, you know, to help make people aware of certain things too
Mhm.
Wow.
that's happening in our community, to us, against us, that
Mm.
we need to be aware of, you know. So so I try to make
Wow.
it full circle, and then the proceeds, you know, I donate 10% of my sales back into my nonprofit to help with scholarships, you know,
Oh,
Nice.
I
for
love that.
us and our
Mm.
community, right, to help, you know, with science or accounting, finance, you know, finance majors,
Mm-hmm.
mostly science or accounting finance majors, right? Because we that's what's on my board, and those are some of the things that often we don't gravitate to as a people. You know, we need more accountants, we need more scientists, we
Mhm.
need more doctors, right, in our community that look like us. And so that's our
Mhm.
scholarship is, you know, centered around those different types of careers to help elevate us up into some of those positions where we are
Yeah.
needed and where we lack that representation.
Mhm.
So talk to the audience about the persistent, I think I'm saying it right, pandemonium.
Yes, ma'am. So my titles are alliterations, and I learned that through my son, who's actually a doctor. And when I was, you know, creating my books, you know, I didn't want a plain title, you know, scandals in the workplace. I just didn't want something plain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, sagacious scandals, and I think my next one, because I knew as I was writing number one, I had to do a sequel. And so it was Persistent Pandemonium, where other things break out and break loose and where more stuff hit the fan. Okay. And so Persistent Pandemonium, of course, is, where other things happen and where Junie is realizing that she might have gotten away with it, but did she really? And her BFF, who's Nene in the novels, she has some problems with her boo, some serious problems with her boo, and she has to come to a realization whether she wants to continue to be in a relationship with this man because she loves him and he's all that, but he's bringing her down. I recently did a little trailer on my website where they were sitting and having dinner or coffee or whatever it is in the video. And Junie says to Nene, "Girl, are you sure you serious about him? Because he is all over the place like a bad odor." And so we that's how we talk to our girls, and we was just like, I'm trying to help you here while and I'm trying to not be too much in your business, but let's do you want to talk about it? Are you seriously considering this man? So some other things go down that aren't very positive in Persistent Pandemonium, and there's a spinoff for that too, which is going to be Meticulous Maneuvers, that I'm just
I love it. I love
that,
it.
that,
The
that I'm
title's
getting
right.
ready.
I love it.
Like,
I
wait a
love it.
minute.
As you was talking in my mind, I was like, as you was saying all that, I said, I see a play that I probably want to be a part of. I want to play a role in that story. This
Wow.
Yes,
is
yes,
good.
yes. One of my
So
one of
many,
my dear
there's
friends.
so many things that's going on in the world, that if we literally took the time to sit and talk about it on the level that makes sense to people, where we can understand it, like these are the things that's going on around us. Like look to your right, look to your left, look in front of you, look behind you. Like
Mhm.
these things are happening. It is
Yes.
going on in behind closed doors, in our homes, in our families, in our friends, in our churches, in our organizations, in our jobs, in our businesses. Like these things are happening, but they're not
Mhm.
being talked about. And it's only being talked about when the person get caught.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now it's
Yeah.
like, and they've been doing it for 20 years. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
And everybody want to act shocked and surprised, like they didn't know that Susie was, embezzling money and messing up people's this, that, and the other. And it's like, you knew she was doing it because you was a part of it. But we
Yeah.
just gonna keep it moving, okay? But but I love that your series, like you say, explore faith, real life struggles, accountability, and God's grace in everyday circumstances, right? Even
Yes.
though it's fictional, but it's real, right?
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just like when we watch a TV show and we're like,
Right.
that's just TV. No, but I see my family there. I see me
Right.
there. I see my sister
Right.
there. I see it may be a television show, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's based on like real life situations. So I love
Yes.
that you do that, putting it together, because again, that's another way where people can connect to what you're saying.
Yes.
As they're
Yes.
reading
Thank
your
you.
books, people can connect with that. Oh, this is fictional, but this real. Like I knew somebody that did that. Hey, it could have been me who did it. Who knows, right?
Right.
But
Right.
you're
Yes.
seeing something familiar in your storytelling.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes. And Junie
Yeah.
is definitely exactly that, what you said, right? She's one of those family members that you know she been doing it, and is she going to get caught, or is she not going to get caught, or what's going to happen when she get caught, because she have
Mhm.
children, and
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen, so
Mm-hmm.
she's
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of those people that's on the down low, and
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna hit the fan, and when it does, what's gonna happen, with her
Mm-hmm.
and the children and everything, so yeah, yeah.
I
Thank
love
you,
it.
thank
I
you.
love it. I love it. What I mean, how strong of a woman do you have to be to really touch on this, like sagacious scandals, persistent pandemonium. Like this is the first time I even heard that word, sagacious. I'm like, what pandemonium? What is she talking about? So yeah, how strong of a woman you have to be. I mean, to really, because this is something that will grab the attention. Like you hear that and you're like, oh, sagacious. First of all, let me look up the word sagacious to see what
Right,
that
right.
means. Scandals.
And
Look,
that's
we like a scandals. Okay. So
We all like a
and
scandal. We all like a scandal.
like so you already done, you already grabbing the attention with just certain words, right? So
Mhm.
yeah,
yes.
so how strong of a woman do you have to be, like mentally, to
Yeah,
really
I
come up with
appreciate that.
this?
I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate that, and that is really the reaction that I get all the time when
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
tell someone the title, sagacious, what's sagacious? They'll grab their phone or whatever. What that mean? And that's part of why I did, like, I wasn't expecting the reactions, right? You don't know and some people be like,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh, okay, and then walk away, right? Like, what is she talking about?
Right.
Right.
But it comes from the word saga. It just means saga,
Mm.
which means drama.
Oh,
It's just another way
Okay.
to
yeah.
say drama. Uh-huh,
Okay.
sagacious. And it's certainly not about my strength because,
Mm-hmm.
I am just imperfect. I'm just a vessel. But I think that a lot of it, especially with my titles, I think it just came through prayer and faith because
Mm.
I
Mm.
said when I first, and I remember telling Dr. Kym this, and she was like, like, girl, you better be for real. You better rethink that, because I told her, I said, when I first started writing, my thought process was, I don't really care about my sales. I just want to put my thoughts and my ideas out here,
Mm-hmm.
and if somebody reads it and gets it, great. If they don't, I'm not trying to be a bestseller. I just want to do this. I just, it's just something I want to do because like I
Mhm.
said, it was taunting my spirit, and it wouldn't
Mhm.
let me go. It wouldn't let me sleep.
Right.
Ideas would come to me in the middle of the day while I was
Mm.
working, and I would have to
Yes.
get up from the desk, go to the bathroom or somewhere, and verbalize that chapter into my phone so I wouldn't forget it, and then
Yeah.
email it to myself, right? Or do that. And then when I get
Mhm.
home, work it out that way. But it's like, oh yeah, that'd be good. And I know I would forget it. So I don't think it's necessarily about strength, because even right now, as we speaking, I'm taking pain medication because I just had a knee replacement. So it's
Oh yeah,
certainly
you just
so
told me
so it's
that.
certainly
Yeah.
not about strength. I just think that this is another way God is probably using me, right? And
Mhm.
so
Mm-hmm.
when I
Mm-hmm.
told Dr. Kym that I really did, she was like, "Oh, no, 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 you might want to rethink your book sales strategy." And I told her that, as I did, publish and everything, and then I started seeing how many of my other brothers and sisters was out there publishing books and making sales, and like, it's
Mhm.
not just a thing or an idea that they wanted to get out. It's their reality now. It's like, oh wow, maybe
Yeah.
I need to up my game,
Yeah.
so that's what
Mm-hmm.
why we're here today, because yes, I think it wasn't about strength, and now I'm trying to re-strategize some of that so that I can up my game and maybe gain a little strength, maybe gain a little more courage, right? Because I am really an introvert by nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
always in the back. I'm not gonna raise my hand necessarily. I'll wait until the last minute or something. But yeah, I'm introverted by nature. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm strong or it's about strength. It was just about something settled in my spirit and would not let me go. I just wrestled with it. So I just had to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But thank you for that anyway.
Absolutely. I'm going to let Dr. Kym chime in, but
Yeah.
I want to be able to say something to you real quickly about strength, right? I wrote a book called The Strength of a Woman,
Okay.
Mhm.
and it talks about being bold and courageous and resilient, right? And it says she is you. Why is she you? Because it takes a certain type of strength, number one, to have knee surgery and still walk. Okay.
Mhm.
It takes
You
a
ain't
certain
lying.
type of strength to have knee surgery in pain and still talk, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
And to still
yes.
sit through something. So when you think, and I'm just using that just as a tiny example of what
Mhm.
strength looks like, right? Strength shows up in the room, especially from women like us, when
Mhm.
we don't even have what it takes sometimes like when you're depressed, right? And you are overwhelmed and the cares of the world has just weighed you down and you've been beat down and knocked down. And how do you think you got back up? It took strength to get back up when everything around you proved that you should stay down. Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
So
yes.
when you think that's not strength that's showing up, it takes strength to talk about something that's so
Mhm.
sacred as this, that's so we're going to say what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of the word, but controversial.
Sagacious.
Some look, because she says engagement, controversial. That's the word I'm looking for. It's
No, she didn't.
controversial, right? To talk about something so
I love the
controversial as
word.
this, right? It takes strength.
Yes.
And I'm gonna
Yes.
say one more thing that people, and this is off topic, but when you see homeless people, right,
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
the streets, under the bridge, in the
Yes.
parks, right,
Yes.
people look at that as weak. I look at that as
Yeah.
strength. Why?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because you got to have a
Survive.
certain type of strength to survive under a
Survive that.
bridge. You
Yes,
got to
Yep.
that's
have a
right.
certain type of strength to survive in a park. You have to have
Right.
a certain type of strength to figure out how you're going to eat every single day. That takes strength. So where you see
Yes. Yes,
weakness,
it
I see
does.
strength. So I don't
Mhm.
Yes.
want you, Miss D, to ever say, "Oh, I'm not strong. That's not strength."
Yes, you
That's
are.
absolutely strength. Strength has showed up in the room. Strength is right now on this interview, on this podcast. This is the face of strength.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I would never say that I'm not strong
No, you don't
either.
even know
Mhm.
what it takes. I'm telling, like I tell people, if you are in deep depression, I'm not talking people say, "Oh, I'm depressed." No, not that kind. I'm talking about the kind that you really is lifting your head up off the pillow is a task. When you can
Mm-hmm.
do that, when you know that you don't even want to lift your head up, but you do anyway because you got to take care of that baby. That's strength. You
Yes.
know, so
Yes.
I
Yes.
yes, when you got put your feet on the floor and you like, oh my God, that's strength. Brushing your teeth, putting some clothes, that's strength.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 When
Okay,
everything and when all your being is saying no, just lay there.
come on here.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All
So,
right,
do
Dr. Kim.
what do you hope that readers get from your books? Because you have one, two, and three, so you have like a trilogy. So we know you want them to read all three, but what do you want them to get from reading their books?
I want them to take away. I do want them to see us in the book. I want them to
Mhm.
see themselves, someone in their family, someone they work with. I want them to see us in the books, and I want them to learn something financial
Okay.
because through all in each book throughout the series, there is some financial knowledge to gain. And so I'm
Mhm.
hoping that they will see us and gain some financial
Mm,
knowledge
mm,
Nice.
so that maybe they can think or maybe they might consider about generational wealth.
mm.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
that is my ultimate goal because as a people that's what we're lacking the love of self and generational wealth
Well, yeah.
sometimes, not all of us, but
Mhm.
sometimes we do lack self-love and generational wealth, or
Mhm.
being able to learn how to sustain financially, right,
Mhm.
and culturally, because what we're teaching our children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews isn't positive for our culture to
Mhm.
sustain.
Yeah.
um and that was one of the things that I don't want to go too far left, but that was one of the things that I tried to touch on in the anthology. Okay, I
Okay.
tried to touch on it, just a
Mhm.
little bit, because we're limited, but that's what I'd like to for my readers to get and to take away. And even when I'm done with the trilogy or the series, then I still have some other nice topics to put out there to continue that fun learning process, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. That's awesome.
Thank
So,
Wow.
thank you.
I was just going to just say, what do you want, our listeners to know about just that financial knowledge and literacy?
mhm,
Like what would be something that you would leave with them, that it
yeah.
can go beyond them? Like you said, we're leaving generational wealth. We don't even
Mhm,
understand that because we grew up with, we didn't have, most of us didn't grow up with silver spoons in our mouths, right?
Right,
And
mhm,
right.
so we held on to the little bit that we had, you know what I mean?
Yes,
mhm,
Because we didn't know when we was
yes.
going to get something again. So we
mhm,
put a little bit away, but like you said, for a rainy day, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
mhm,
what would you tell our listeners? Because of course we all want to put something away for a rainy day,
mhm.
but
Yeah.
how can we do that and still live?
Yep.
But thank you for that awesome question.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of us are living paycheck to paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
or I think mama used to say foot to mouth or something, and don't
mhm,
have a pot to piss in or a window to throw
Mm,
it out
come
of, if
on.
you will,
mhm,
Mm,
right? So, but because some of those things are a reality for some of us, it does not mean that you can't take $1 or $5
come on.
from
mhm.
whatever you receive, wherever it's
Yep.
coming from, and compound that. Okay. Even
Mhm,
if you can't compound it daily, can you compound it weekly? Can you
Mm,
compound it monthly? Right.
mm-hmm.
And, and what other natural talents do you have that you haven't tapped into that can help make you a side hustle, that can help you
mhm,
build on your savings? So I don't care if it's mowing the grass in the summer, or
Mm-hmm.
shoveling ice in the winter. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if it's braiding hair or washing somebody's
Mm,
clothes or running to the store, even if you got to
mm-hmm.
walk for your neighbor, right? Just charge them $2 to walk to any little thing that can help. If you're helping somebody else, then you're
mhm,
also still can be helping yourself. So if you just save $1 or $5, then
mhm.
that is a step closer to a goal of financial.
Yeah.
And please, people, please get life insurance. Please get
Oh.
life insurance. It doesn't Life insurance is not expensive. It doesn't have to be the Cadillac brand life insurance. It could be term life insurance, okay,
Mhm,
that you pay, and it's only good if you die. But through life insurance, we can build wealth. We
Mm-hmm.
can leave that life insurance tax free as a beneficiary to Momo, Ray Ray, Kiki,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
your sister, your
Mm-hmm.
brother, whoever. You can
Mm-hmm.
split it up 3 or 4 ways,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
And
mhm.
life insurance is a very inexpensive way to help the next generation begin to build some wealth. and
Absolutely.
Mhm,
and it's so overlooked because they figure they can't afford it, but you can. If you working and have some decent income, or you got a car note and paying car insurance, you can afford life insurance.
mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can afford life insurance if you go out to restaurants every week spending 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100 a week. You can
Yeah.
afford $40 a month for life
Can you
insurance.
could you say that again, please, for somebody that didn't hear you?
So for those who didn't hear me, if you can go out to the restaurant every week, okay, some daily, and spend 40, 50, 60, 70, $100, right?
Yes.
Every week, you can
Yes.
afford $40 a month.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Term life
And
insurance. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
term life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you said that. about saving, because I know each year I do this thing where I label like 26 envelopes, and every time I
Mm-hmm.
get paid, when I first started, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be hard. But when I first started, I just did $5 each week. I just put it in the envelope, put the envelope somewhere, and keep it moving. And then
Yeah.
this was ironic. I had did it for a whole year, and I don't know. I did something in envelopes. I put them somewhere, but I was moving envelopes. Envelopes in this bag. It was them $5. Wow. Okay, this one was 10. I'll put a 20 in here. And by the time I finished emptying those envelopes, I think I had like $1,000. But
Yeah.
if you do it on a regular basis, you don't even know. So like I saved
Right.
$1,000. Okay, this goes to the moving truck.
Right.
But people do that, and people don't realize those things. The first time it's going to hurt you, but after you keep doing it, you forget about it.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
when you need it, and you open those envelopes, you the happiest person in the world, even if it's just $5 or $1.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Yes.
that feeling of saving it is like
Yes.
no other. And once you
Mhm.
start it once, the next time you do it, it's just like, okay, I got this. It was
Right.
not
Yes.
that bad
Right.
before. Let me do it again. But yeah, I think that's important. People forget just start out with a little more. But the thing is, just start.
Just
Start.
Just do
start.
it.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it will
Mhm.
become habit and second
Mhm.
nature to
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
that if you just
Wow.
start
Mhm.
somewhere.
Oh
Start
Like
yeah.
going
somewhere.
to the gym,
Yeah.
right? We got to start somewhere.
Mhm.
We got to start one day, and then if you persistent enough and you want that change, then you'll
Mhm.
go and you'll change
Mhm.
your exercise habit, you'll change your eating habit. I mean, it's the
Mhm.
same financially.
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
want it enough, you have to start somewhere in order to see and make that change that the next generation can benefit from.
Is
Yeah.
there
Mm.
anything that happened that made you like, oh my goodness, no, I got to change my spending habits. I got to make sure I save. I got to make sure I have insurance. Was there anything that happened that like really turned on that light bulb for you?
Yeah, yeah, it was. And I think well, it was probably more than one thing, right? As a single parent trying to
Mm.
live in California and getting
Oh,
booted
yeah.
out and having to move. But I think what definitely turned it on for me was when my mom passed intestate. And
Mm.
she didn't have a will. It was mostly me and her all of our lives, but I did have a half brother who, kind of surfaced, as a young adult in life and wasn't making good choices and wasn't living right. But
Mm.
when my mom passed, um, because I was there, the lawyer asked me, do you have any siblings? Because as we proceed with this matter, whatever your mom, whatever your mom has, it has to be split. And I was
Mm.
like, what? I was like, well, yeah, but he ain't never been around. He ain't never did nothing. He ain't never been here. I think he in jail right now. No. And it was like, the lawyer was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If that's your brother,
Wow.
And I said, okay, okay, okay. So I followed the rules, and everything. But
Mm.
that taught me right then and there, first of all, don't die intestate. You better have something in place for your children. And my
Mm.
mom didn't have life insurance. Now, it wasn't a burden. Thankfully, it wasn't a burden for me to bury her. The
Right.
burden was taking care of her proceeds, right? Selling her
Right.
home,
Oh
selling the
wow.
all that stuff in her house, getting rid of everything, right? Because I used to tell her, Mom, you got to have a will. Mom, do you have a will? No, if I die,
Mm.
everything going to you. Don't even worry about it. And I'm like, Mom, it don't work like that.
Mm.
So that taught me one, get some life insurance because
Mm.
that is going to not just help me, but it'll help my children. And
Mhm.
if I'm able to own property, because I didn't own property at the time, but if I'm able to make sure that it's whatever is in place when I die, that my property is going to go directly. It's not going to have to go through probate. It'll go directly
Oh,
as
okay.
I need it. Yeah, as I need it to go, because we had to
Mhm.
go through probate, but It wasn't a painful experience as some can be because my brother was in jail.
Right.
So so everything was in my favor to to take care of the business, but I still had to split it with him 50-50, and he wasn't even there. He didn't even do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take care of everything, and I'm like, well, why does he get half and I gotta take care? Because that's your
Mm-mm.
brother. If it was three of y'all, then
Yeah,
y'all would get
siblings. Yeah.
thirds. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, whatever. I just want to get it over with, and be
Mhm.
done. So that was definitely a wake up call for me
Yeah.
because of what I went through with my mom and my brother.
That was a
Yeah.
Yeah.
good question. That was a really
Yeah.
good question, Kim. Good
Yeah.
question.
I preach wills
Mm-hmm.
24/7 because I've been
Mm-hmm.
through
Uh-huh.
the same thing you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
With
Mm-hmm.
uncles. I'm like, it's 80 of y'all. We want to do what? You want to, okay,
Right.
let's go ahead and split it because I ain't got
Yeah.
time to hear y'all fussing about $200.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. No. Yes.
And when people pay, you be surprised. It's like, but you didn't even do anything. You didn't even
Yes.
go visit, nothing. But go ahead and
Yes.
Didn't
do it.
do
But
anything but want everything.
yes,
Yes.
and I tell
Yes.
people, please, I don't care if you write it down on a piece of paper, have a will. A
Yeah.
will. My grandmother wrote hers down on a piece of paper, notarized it, and put it in the Bible. We knew where it was in the
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
you and people of color don't realize you gotta have a will. Like you said,
Yeah.
you were lucky it went through. It wasn't that bad, but sometimes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
depending on what state,
Yeah.
it can get real bad. But
Yeah, and
thank you for
it was in California, and he got really ugly with me about the situation.
wow.
Is what made it even worse, right? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
first of all, okay, well, yeah, so it got really ugly, but it did, but thankfully because so when you look back, it's like, well, that was working in my favor that he was in jail because had he not been in jail, he probably would
Girl.
have been able to stay in the house because he told
Mm-hmm.
me
Right.
when
Oh
he got
wow.
out of jail, I need the keys to the house. I don't have anywhere to go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? If you ain't got nowhere to go,
Wow.
what keys to what house?
Wow.
Keys to
He was
our
making
mama
plans.
house. And I'm like, boy, that's up
Wow.
for sale. I can't give you the keys to that house. You can't go in there.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
Dee, I just want to say
Yeah, it
thank
was
you so
yeah.
much for sharing. You definitely
Yeah.
opened our eyes, our ears. You caught our attention. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure the listeners are like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I needed to hear that. Thank
They
you
been
for those
pulling out them pay
nuggets.
stubs.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Listen,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sure they was taking notes tonight. They was probably like, oh, okay, I'm going to make sure I go to HR and payroll
Right.
tomorrow. I got some questions.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that. Could you tell our listeners
Thank
as we are
you.
coming to a close how they can follow you?
Yes, I'm on Facebook right
Mhm.
now and TikTok, and my nonprofit dot is www.lalanonprofit.org is how you can follow me. I'm working on some of those other channels Dr. Kim has told me. So I am working on some of those other channels. It'll probably just be Instagram, but right now it's
Mhm.
Facebook and TikTok and our nonprofit page, which is going to be we're announcing some big news around Juneteenth. We're going to launch a new product
Nice.
in Juneteenth, and so we're very excited about that. But that is,
Mm.
I'm not gonna give it away here, but just
Okay.
stay tuned to that nonprofit
Yeah.
page to learn about our new product
Nice.
that is gonna be awesome for financial education.
Nice.
All
Nice.
right.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
All
Ooh,
right.
well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. This
Thank
was
you.
wonderful. I'm sure our audience has gotten
Yes.
earful. So thank
Yes.
You
you.
ladies, it's like talking to old friends,
Oh,
and so I appreciate you both. I appreciate you both.
Yes.
Thank you for having me on, and I look forward
Thank you.
to coming back again in the future.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Thank you. All right. Make sure you check the pay stubs. What you say? Make sure you get term life insurance and get yourself together. Save some money.
Start with $5.
Right, right. $2 or $3, anything, 50 cents, something.
Right.
And
And
not
if
the
you're not
rapper,
sure,
not the rapper, just the
no,
coins. The rest.
Right.
yeah. And if you're not sure, look on her website. She got some good stuff to get you started, for real.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ladies.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.